Welcome to Bros Ball and Bologna, guys. It's just like ESPN, but with good takes and analysis. So let me introduce you to my bros. Below me, you've got Miles. He is our semi-pro golfer. Next to him, you've got Pistachio. He is our Power 5 insider and the new owner of a giant-ass TV. Above him, we've got ZA. He is our money man and our betting extraordinaire. And then you got me, the idiot who just wasted like a $1,500 weekend to go watch the racers get their ass whooped. We've got a lot to talk about, guys. Let's get into it. Golf. Okay, everybody loves golf. All right, Miles, take us away. What's going on?
Really cool tournament they played this week, the Valspar Championship. They played at Innisbrook at the Copperhead Course. I played there one time. I think it was in 2019. But Sam Burns won in a 2-hole playoff, and that he defended his title. He won the tournament last year, and it's typically a very difficult golf course, but that wasn't the case this year because the winning score was 17 under. Back in 2019, the winning score was only 8 under, which is normally kind of what it runs. It's really low. I wanted to tell everybody about the Saudi Golf League. Re-upped on their stance. They say it's back. They announced a schedule that will consist of 8 events. 4 are supposed to be played in the United States with a prize pool totaling $255 million. So I guess the pot's close to $32 million per event. I don't know what the winner will get.
Hold on, let me check my email.
But the winner might get upwards of $10 million for winning the tournament. I'm not exactly sure how the payout's going to go, but I thought that was kind of crazy.
Yeah, that's insane, man. Could you imagine?
Yeah. Also, about 30 minutes ago, breaking news out of Augusta, Phil Mickelson will not be playing at the Masters.
Oh, wow.
That is pretty big.
He going to Saudi?
Yeah. No, they said due to what he said he's not playing due to those comments he made about the Saudi Golf League. He's still not coming back yet.
That's so garbage, man.
He's lost all of his sponsors, like all kinds of crazy stuff for Phil.
He's rich as hell, though. He probably don't even need those sponsors anymore.
He'll be fine.
Yeah,
he'll be fine. He'll be fine.
Honey, I opened my mouth. We have to sell the 4th summer home. I'm sorry. I lost my sponsor.
So Miles, with the Valspar Open, man, why do you think the score was such a difference? Was it just perfect weather, or do you think the golfers are obviously getting better? They can hit it harder. I mean, what's your take on that?
I think the players are just getting that much better, and I think the course may just played easy this week. The weather might have been perfect, but I don't know. I think the guys are getting a lot better than they used to be. That's why you see different guys winning all the time. It's not like Tiger or Phil or the Ernie Els back in the day or the VJ Singhs. You don't hear about people winning, 5-6 times a year anymore, unless it's John Rahm. Dustin Johnson just fell out of the top 10 for the first time in 7 years.
Wow.
He was the number 1 golfer in the world.
Yeah,
last year.
Times are changing, man. Fucking parents are sending these kids as rich ass fucking people to just train their kids, and these kids are turning out to be. There's so many of them now, man. People got money, and it's just.
Well, you got to think, not only that, but one, we now have had how many years to study golf, how many extra years to study the human body, how many years of developing better clubs and technology, how many years of learning from past mistakes. It's just everything's going to get better, I think, as we go. Every sport, everything in the world, you'd hope, but we'll see. Obviously, it depends on who's running that shit. You know what I mean? But,
yeah.
Let's get out of golf and talk about the NFL. Biggest trade, I mean, it has to be Davante Adams, right? Traded to Las Vegas. He is traded for a 1st-round pick and a 2nd-round pick. Then they turn around and just pay the man out the ass. He's now the highest paid wide receiver. One, this is what happens when you sign a huge-ass contract, Aaron Rodgers. 2, he probably knew this was coming. He said he understood, but who the hell is he going to throw the ball to now? What did the Packers just do?
Paid Aaron Rodgers too much, and then have no money to pay anybody else now.
Yeah, I mean, and they waited too long. If they knew Davante was going to leave, and the rumor is, he told them that he was. They even offered Davante more money than what Oakland did, but Davante just wanted out. It's his lifelong dream to go play with Derek Carr in the NFL, so he picked that, over the Packers. But regardless, Packers waited too long. Who are they going to sign now? Who's the stud out there? I mean, Julio. I mean, even then,
I was going to say Julio.
He's the only one really left.
Let's be honest. You want to go to Green Bay, Wisconsin, or you want to go to fucking Vegas? Like,
yeah.
I mean, come on. He's not the only big name on the move. Right? Speaking of going from big time to kind of a fucking Cleveland, let's be honest. It's fucking Deshaun Watson is traded for 3 first-round picks, a third, and a fourth for Watson and a fifth. Then what does the Cleveland Browns turn around and do? $230 million guaranteed. The dude still has 22 civil suits. At least he didn't gamble on it, so he probably won't get a year suspension. That's a lot of money. Guys, what do you think about that contract?
Well, that's the thing is all 5 years guaranteed. He doesn't play his first year, so he still makes money. Like, what the fuck? Yeah. What?
Yeah.
Like, Cleveland's out there. I don't care. Okay, yes, the civil suits. Yeah, he's a bad person, whatever. All that shit aside, you just spent so much goddamn money, dude. Like, what were y'all thinking?
Guaranteed.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that money is gone. That contract is signed and shipped away.
But his agent in the Hall of Fame, man. I want his agent to be my agent. I don't know, man. That's wild, dude. I don't know how that went down.
What's so funny though is Cleveland wasn't on Deshaun's list. Like it was like Atlanta, Philly. You know, those are my top spots.
Carolina.
Yeah, Carolina. Hey, you come here, we're gonna give you $230 million. Man, you know, I always thought Cleveland was like my home away from home. You know, I always felt like I was supposed to be there.
Oh yeah, but the thing is, if he doesn't play for the year, you're gonna have a quarterback that's 2 years removed from the game. I mean, like he hasn't played in all last year. It'd be another year. I mean,
like you can only train so much, but like when you like lose that much from the actual game itself, like the game's evolved in 2 years. It's gonna evolve every year. So
I think one, you gotta think, yes, it's gonna be. He'll pick it up quick. I mean, honestly, let's be honest. He's played at a high level for the past. His whole life, you know, top high schools, top college, top NFL. And, you know, it may take 3 or 4 weeks, a month to get back under his belt, but you know, he's got the best trainers and shit right now anyway.
All that shit aside though, he hasn't even gotten a punishment yet from the NFL and the Browns are paying him for shit that he's not even going to play yet. Like,
I tell you what, the Browns just completely changed how sports in general, not the NFL, not the quarterback, how sports honestly might be how the world does big money contracts because of this.
Yeah.
How long do y'all think he's going to end up getting suspended though?
I honestly think the whole year. I think he deserves it, but like he should have been suspended. This should have like happened last year, so that shit could have been out of the way. But I guess it's still under like lawsuits. It's still dragging on. But I mean, like
my thing is one, what did he really do? I still don't know exact story. You get hear tell, but two, none of this happened until he won it out of Houston, which I find kind of very weird. And two, like, or three, I mean, if the guy gave a girl $100 for a little rub and tug, who gives a shit? Why is he getting punished? You know,
Robert Kraft did and shit.
Now, if he like held her down and was like, "You're gonna do this," like, okay, different. But
from my understanding, the majority of these women were personal masseuses that flew out to him willingly, and what he was just getting sexual gestures from them after massages, or was he even getting a massage? Maybe he's just either like a side piece. I mean, at the end of the day, there was no criminal charges pressed against him, so obviously no criminal acts happened. But he's still going to pay all these women. Luckily, he has 230 big ones sitting there for him, so he's good to go.
He's going to pay off at least 20 of those hoes.
2 things. One, they knew what they were doing. Like, you mean to tell me he lives in the greater Houston area and there's not a masseuse who's good enough in all of Texas? So let me fly you from Florida because you're such a good person at rubbing your hands on my back. Come on.
Yeah.
2,
no way.
Probably shouldn't have signed that contract till after all this is taken care of.
That's what I said. I was like, dude,
bro, why were the Browns throwing out contracts when he hasn't been like, you know, this shit hasn't been settled yet?
I know.
I tell you,
I'm so like blown away by this whole thing.
So let's get
Yeah,
just off
it's
of him
crazy.
in general, though. But the Browns, you get Amari Cooper, you got Deshaun Watson. Where do they stand in the AFC?
Overall roster, they're top 10 in NFL, but you got the AFC West now. I think it's the top 4 in the AFC. So I think they're going to be 5 at best. And then I would have to.
Where's Baker going next? What is on the?
I think he's done, bro. If someone
Seattle.
picks damn.
That's the only one that I can think of. Where else would he go?
Where are they at in the draft? Where's Seattle?
Cleveland said that they're not going to trade him. They said they're not going to trade him because they don't know what's going to happen with Deshaun. So they want to keep him around. And they said they came out and said they will not get rid of Baker. And Baker's like demanding a trade, and they're saying that they won't let him go.
One, he's an average.
I'll send you the article on it.
He's still an NFL starter, but he's an average quarterback. 2, he's kind of a crybaby and very open. How do you think that's going to go? Like, hey, listen, we promised you you're not going nowhere, and you're not. Just for another year, you're going to feel this guy who's better than you just likes his weenie touch for 16 games. So let's see what
I love the most is that Baker Mayfield thought that he was good enough to pick the team he wanted to go to. He was like, I prefer the Colts. And they're like, no, we're not taking your ass.
We don't prefer you. We will anybody. Or Houston, hey, we'll throw in 2 first-round, or we'll throw in 1 first-round pick, the former first overall Baker Mayfield, and Houston's like, hey, don't you ever say that again. Now we want 3 first-round picks since you brought him into this.
Honestly, Houston said they did not want Baker. They would rather have draft picks than Baker, which is something, right?
That's also crazy.
We'd rather take fucking Matt Ryan's old ass than fucking Baker Mayfield's.
When Baker is on, he's good. But here's the thing: so many things have to click for him to be on. You know, he's got the swag, and people have to follow him. And
he's a prima donna, man. He's
agreed.
A prima donna.
Agreed. But let's talk about Robert Woods, another big name. All right, coming off the ACL, he gets shipped to Tennessee for a 5th-round pick. Little low, but he is coming off injury.
I'd say for a 5th-round pick, that's a pretty good snag.
You got to think about what kind of receiver Robert Woods is. He's a great blocking receiver. He does all the dirty work, and that's exactly what Tennessee needs, man. I mean, they're a run-first team. You need somebody who can go out there and they ain't scared to pop somebody. Block for him. I mean, Robert Woods, he came out and said he preferred to block, over catching sometimes, and just as long as his team does good, he don't mind it. So that's exactly what Tennessee needs. I think it's an A+ pickup by Tennessee.
So you mentioned Julio's gone, leaving Tennessee. That brings into his old buddy the last big trade we're going to talk about. We mentioned it about Baker, but Matt Ryan. Okay, former MVP of the league, traded to Indy for a 3rd. Pretty, I think, low for starting NFL MVP. I mean, he's not the same Matt Ryan he was then, but I told y'all my take. I think he was a $48 million salary hit this year. Atlanta kept moving his salary back, rearranging it, trying to win, and I don't blame him for that, but there comes a time when you got to pay that shit up, and it was that time. But how classy is Matt Ryan? He had a deadline to get his roster bonus, and they were working on the Deshaun Watson. He said, "Hey, listen, let's postpone my guaranteed millions of dollars so you can work on a trade for Deshaun Watson." Like, is that not the most classy move in freaking NFL?
I think he knows. He's like, I'm on my way out. Like, next team I probably go to is probably gonna be one of the last teams I play for. Maybe another team one more year, but he knows he's not stupid. He's kind of like Tom Brady, just not as good.
They were trying to save that the cap space. They still have to take a $40.5 million dead cap hit.
Oh yeah, but you still save. I mean, I get that, but you still save a signing bonus and all that. It's like $8 million.
Yeah.
On 2 or 3 decent, backups or role players for that. I'm so happy for Matt Ryan that he got to go somewhere that he's going to be able to compete for a Super Bowl, because I think he deserves it, not only on what he's done, but look at the Cleveland situation we just talked about. Baker Mayfield decides to post this big thing on Instagram about how I don't know what's going on, I love you, and then says I'd like to go to Indianapolis. Matt Ryan, who's earned that post, who's earned that respect, doesn't say a word, keeps his mouth shut, says, hey, do what's best for the team, lets it go, and then they reward him trading him to a team that he probably wanted to go to. And I think that's just A+ A+ to all of that organization just for taking care of someone who's gave you so much. I think that needs to be spoke on too. Arthur Blank. Now, granted, he's probably lucky he didn't get Deshaun Watson because the Falcons aren't ready to compete anyways, and that would have set them back, giving up so much just to
Yeah.
But
Right.
I think once the Falcons lost the Deshaun Watson and they knew it and they start trading away, other players. That I think they're in full rebuild mode now. I really do. I don't think they're going to be competing anytime soon. So
which sucks for Cordell Patterson.
exactly, who I think will be their next quarterback. He's the switch army knife.
Oh, go ahead. What you got?
Saw earlier from 2006 to 2016, 29 quarterbacks were selected in the first round of the draft. None of those quarterbacks play for the team that selected them.
It's so crazy that someone can be your leader and your everything and your family, Pistachio, and then you just cut them loose, It's so weird how that happens when you get big time like that,
All business, man. All business.
Yeah. When you preach family and all that, and it's all business, that family shit turns into a lie, and you get real upset.
That's when you get people leaving, they'd be like, screw it, I'd rather go coach in, college or go to Memphis or something like that. But either way, last thing we got on the NFL. Free agency. We mentioned Julio. Okay, let's bring him up first because he's the real big cut, I believe. Where should he go? We mentioned, does he go fill Devontae Adams' role? Does he go, hey, Matt, you got a good defense in Indy. We got a pretty good connection. You got a good run game. Let's take the top off. Where should he wind up? I'm thinking San Francisco would be fucking great, but
Of course.
But best for him is probably like the second option of going to Indy. I mean, running it back with Matt Ryan, one more time. Give it a shot. You're both getting older. If you can stay healthy for at least 3/4 of the season, you might be able to put up some good numbers.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly do think he's going to Green Bay because who else do they have, man? They waited so long and they lost Devontae. They have nobody. Yeah. So I think they're desperate. I think they're going to go get whoever they can, and Julio's going to be right there at the top. So I do think he ends up at Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers.
Julio's from the South, went to Alabama and played his career in a dome. You think they're gonna pay him enough to go to Wisconsin?
I think they will. I think they'll pay for that.
He might.
It's a dome in Indy.
I don't know, man. When you can go play with your buddy Matt or go do something, I don't know. He's gonna have. I think he's gonna have
Indianapolis. That's a great take, coach. That's an awesome one, man. I mean, honestly, I didn't think about that, and that's amazing. That would work out perfect.
I think so. Let's talk about the other big free agents. Perfect fits. Von Miller, Buffalo, 33, and they gave him a 6-year, $120 million contract. That is, we need you to chase Patrick Mahomes for 2 to 3 years, and let's win a Super Bowl now. Any other take on Von?
He deserves it.
He's a playoff player now. He's too old to be good all year long. So they're saying, hey, look, we're going to make it to the playoffs, so we just need you – in January and February to come through and chase, exactly like Patrick Mahomes around and stop him in the playoffs. That's all we need you for. And that's what he's going to do. I think they overpaid for him, but
he's only guaranteed, I think, $52.5 million of that. So
it was a smart.
They may not have to pay that much. Yeah, it was a good contract for him. I thought it wasn't. I didn't read the thing till earlier. He's not guaranteed very much of that money. So they may actually work out on the good end of this.
We also got Randy Gregory. Okay. Spurs the Cowboys for the same money, and then goes on a rant on Twitter about how they act in bad faith and how they're idiots pretty much. But 5 years, $70 million, another one to the AFC West. And let's not bring them all yet. We'll talk about them at the end of the NFL. But what do you think about Randy Gregory?
I mean, he's a hit or miss player, man. Yeah, I mean, I think he's going to be a good rusher there. And again, AFC West just keeps saying, hey, hold my beer. I'm going to go get somebody as well, So I think you got to have a rush there with those 4 quarterbacks. And, I mean, he was the best out there. So
did you see why he flipped on him, he said? Because of the alleged they changed the contract after they changed the wording of the contract after they initially showed him. They offered him more money. He was going to sign, but they added in this clause that said a player could lose bonuses or guarantees if a player is fined or suspended. And apparently that wasn't originally in the contract. And Randy Gregory got pissed and was like, all right, I'm going. I'm going to Broncos. Get the fuck out of here.
Talking about pass rushers, let's move to the other side of the ball, and let's talk about protecting those $1 million quarterbacks. Brandon Shreve, the ex-Washington Commander, now Jacksonville Jaguars, 4-year, $84 million. Got to protect the hair. Got to protect your investment. And honestly, this I think is another reason to go get Evan Neal in the first round, put him next to him, let him learn from a Pro Bowler, and you have a top pick, 2 other Pro Bowlers. I think you're pretty decent on the O-line. But and then of course the other one, Lael Collins, the old draft night, mix up. Leaves Dallas, 3-year, $30 million for Cincy. Another good contract for the team, I think. Really there to protect Joe Burrow, as he said, ain't nobody touching you. Your bodyguard's here. So what do we think about the OL deals?
Yeah, smart deals, smart pickups. You need to protect those dudes.
Yeah, I think it's very clear what the Jags are doing and the Bengals are doing. I think they're both have been the more aggressive teams in the offseason, and the Bengals with already multiple offensive line signings. I think it's clear what they're trying to do. And everybody and their mama, I mean, my wife and my mom, who barely watch football, was like, "Oh man, that quarterback for the Bengals, he sure was taking a lot of hits there. Is his O-line any good?" So if they can see it, that's their weakness. So O-line's definitely, they're definitely targeting that. And same with the Jags. We just need a little bit of everything. So I'm glad to see both those teams being aggressive with that front. So.
And new financial guy because of what they gave Christian Kirk. Don't throw that out. You need that too.
We'll see, man. I've been big on Kirk, man. We'll see. I don't know. Not as a 1, as a 3, as a burner, but not as a 1. We'll see.
I love all 3 of the O-line pickups that the Bengals had so far this offseason. It's really solidified what looks like a line that may be able to now finally protect Burrow and see what he can really do with some time back there.
And I think something that's pretty smart on the Bengals is those are all like 3- and 4-year contracts, which would be about the time Joe Burrow would be needing to get paid, and then Jamar Chase will need to get paid. And you got to let those O-linemen walk to keep them and then try to find some more O-linemen, I think. So, planning ahead there by the Bengals, I think, good call. Other notable signings, Fletcher Cox re-signs with the Eagles. Cordell Patterson signs with the Falcons again after that breakout year. Your boy Eli Apple is back in Cincy. I know y'all two are pumped. Miles Jack, Jaguars leading tackle, finds himself a Steeler. JuJu SmithSchuster finally corrects his wrong from last year and decides to join Patrick Mahomes instead of the Steelers. DJ Chark leaves the Jaguars for the Lions, and DJ Moore re-signs with the Panthers. Any other big pickups y'all want to talk about or y'all think is going to make an impact?
I can't believe I picked up fucking Eli again.
I know. Yeah.
We'll see. Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
Like, what were they thinking?
I don't know, man.
He didn't play awful. He just had a really bad season.
Yeah, they had a really bad. He had a really bad couple of games.
And then
not just the Super Bowl, but
sounded like a dumbass, dude. Like, I don't respect that guy. Poor mother.
Yeah. And he said he was going to let that be a chip on his shoulder, and he was going to come back this year and prove everybody that he was the player he said he was going to be. Maybe he would. Maybe he does. Maybe he comes out and plays good next year.
So my issue is he's been cut or traded from 3 teams, has been called a bust, has a trash compilation on YouTube, and that's not a big enough chip to start last year being a good player.
Well, yeah, we'll see, man. I mean, he's hit or miss. I think that the spotlight's on him, and as a cornerback, it doesn't matter if you're Darrelle Revis, you're going to get burnt at least, once or twice, and it's going to happen. It's just what happens to cornerbacks. But the spotlight's just so big on him, and everybody watches him, and every little mistake he makes, he gets called out on. So, I mean, we'll see. I mean, he's not horrible. He's an NFL player. I mean, he's a starter.
Don't you ever bring up Darrelle Revis's name while we're talking about
No. Because I'm saying
I know you're not comparing.
He still got burnt sometimes,
No, Darrelle Revis held like 8 All-Pros. I'm going to look this up and put this on here while we're talking right now. he took on like 8 all-pro receivers like Randy Moss, T.O., and held every single one of them to under 35.
Yeah,
Maybe
no,
he got burnt
he's
for 7 yards.
He's the GOAT. So, but I do think one huge signing that's going under the radar that a lot of people are not paying attention to is Russell Gage from Atlanta. Went to Tampa Bay to play with the GOAT. You know, Antonio Brown went a little crazy last year. He left. They needed somebody to fill that up. Scotty Miller, he's not going to be that guy. So they bring him over, man. He's a stud. I've been huge on him since he came out of college. He's his hands are solid. I mean, he doesn't drop on anything really. He was Matt Ryan's go-to guy as far as a safety basket goes. I mean, I think he is going to be a huge pickup for them.
I'll tell you one thing people aren't talking about is the hell we're going to have to go through next season when we watch freaking Jackson Mahomes and JuJu SmithSchuster doing TikToks during the middle of the game on the team sideline. Like,
they're not allowed.
Fucker post on Instagram or whatever it was saying that they should collab now for sure, that he came to the Chiefs. I was like, oh my God, bro.
I don't even want to get started on it. But The other thing we've got is the AFC West. This is the last football thing. How stacked, guys? Let's just start. I want to say this. The Chiefs. You got Patrick Mahomes, Kelsey, Hill. On the defensive side, you've got Frank Clark and Chris Jones chasing quarterbacks. Okay, you got 2 all-pro edge rushers. You go to the Chargers. You got Justin Herbert with Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. Then you've got Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa as your defensive ends. And you've got stud DBs. Then you've got the Broncos just picked up Russell Wilson. Okay, you've got Judy. You've got Cortland Sutton. You've got a few weapons. But on defense, again, you've got Randy Gregory, one of the best group of DBs, and Bradley Chubb. Bradley Chubb's probably the worst defensive end pass rusher out of the 4 teams, and he's still a freaking pretty good player. Top 10, top 5 pick, something like that. And then you've got the Raiders with Derek Carr, his new college buddy, who when they were at Fresno State led the NCAA in receiving yards, receptions, and touchdowns, and Carr led them in passing. You got Hunter Renfrow. Then you throw on the defensive side, you have Max Crosby, and you have Chandler Jones chasing people around. Like, how nasty is it?
Crazy.
Team in your conference, your division, has a pair of all-pro type defensive ends and at least one good cornerback on their team, and a great quarterback and receivers. How does that happen?
And running backs, they're all stacked at running backs.
Shit. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's a stacked conference.
Who's going to win the Super Bowl? Whoever takes that shit.
Yeah, that's right.
It don't matter. It's going to be there's going to be at least 3 of them in the playoffs. Like 2 of them's going to be.
I hate it for the Bengals.
Yeah.
I know, man. Holy smokes.
Yeah,
that O-line better get really good really fast.
You've got to win your division in the AFC if you want to make your playoffs.
Man, because they're going to take at least 2 spots. I mean,
I like winning our division. I'm not worried about our division.
Yeah, easily. Ravens, we'll see. Ravens are looking
healthy. Yeah. The Browns, we'll see what they got next year. Well, in 2 years.
There's no Deshaun Watson. So, next year will be good.
2 years. 2 years.
Yeah.
But, all right, the NFL, we love it. We'll come back to it, but next week. But let's talk about it is still March. It is March Madness, and it is
no, it's not.
Madness. It is piss poor. If anybody is watching this on the Peacock app, shut that shit off and uninstall it from your device. But upsets, okay, there's a bunch of them. We got Richmond beating Iowa, fucked up the first bracket. You have UNC beating Baylor. Okay, I think Miles called that. I think that's in his bracket.
I did. I called that.
And then of course you got St. Peter's just running through the state of Kentucky like it don't matter. And you've got the SEC
that team
blowing it. Pistachio calls it. The SEC completely overhyped this year. UK a number 2, Auburn a number 2, Tennessee a number 3, Alabama a number 6. all out. The only one left is Arkansas. What do we think? What's our
As per every time I do a bracket, it just gets shittier and shittier after every round. So
But there were lots of overtime games, which was insane. I don't know how many there were, but there were a ton. And then there's also New Mexico State beating UConn. You had Notre Dame beating Bama. You had Michigan beating Tennessee. You had Miami beating Auburn, and Iowa State beating LSU and Wisconsin.
Yeah. How about Michigan? I don't even think Michigan should even be in this tournament. And how about the run they are on right now?
Wow,
it is insane.
You're right. They shouldn't have been in it, but they still have the talented roster. They still have the name, so they get in, and then they show what they really can do. And I actually got to watch the second half when I went to Indianapolis of that game. And man, Michigan, it's not sexy. They got that big old dude, the Dickerson guy, I think's his last name, the center. It's not sexy, but it's good basketball. They don't have a star. There's no one for you to just like key in and try to take away completely. And I think they're going to be a tough out.
Yeah, I did. I mean, I think they got Villanova. Villanova's not impressed me all season long. They haven't impressed me in this tournament. Should have lost to Ohio State, I thought. Just kind of ran away with it at the end there. But, man.
Gonzaga, man, I think Memphis, if they could have hit a damn free throw, had them. I think that was another great game that went to overtime. Baylor, they come back from like a 15 or 25, either one, I can't remember, deficit, send it to overtime, and then lose.
Like almost 30. It was 28 at one point.
I tell you, the craziest game, one of the best games I've watched.
I think it was the largest upset or comeback.
The score doesn't really show how good it was, but the Texas Purdue game, man, I stayed up and watched that. At one time, Purdue goes on like a 14-0 run. It's 28-16. I was like, all right, Purdue's got the talent. They're about to run away with it. Next thing you know, Texas goes on a 22-0 run in the first half. And man, that was just an awesome game back and forth. Purdue's going to be a tough out too. They got a 7-4 that big old center. He gets in foul trouble. So then they bring in their 7-foot backup center who's a better offensive player. And then, of course, you got Jaden Ivey. His mom's the coach at Notre Dame, and he's the best guard, I think, most NBA ready guard in the draft coming up. But man, I think Purdue's going to be.
Yeah, I've not watched one game yet and been upset, I'll be honest with you. And I was watching the UNC the UNC Baylor game, and it almost got to a 30-point blowout. So my wife was like, you know what? Let's just go to the beach. This game's a blowout. We'll come back, watch the late games, whatever. And by the time we got packed up and was about to leave, it was a 5-point game. I was like, oh, can we stay and watch this?
With what's coming up, guys, I'm going to throw up the Sweet 16. Okay, we've got Zaga against Arkansas, Texas Tech against Duke, UNC against UCLA, Purdue against St. Peter's, Arizona versus Houston, Michigan versus Villanova, Kansas versus Providence, ZA, and
I know.
Iowa State versus Miami. Who's your pick to win it all out of the Sweet 16?
UCLA.
You were asking anybody, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Pistachio, he's the only one. We'll get to our bracket real quick after this, but Pistachio's the only one with his championship team in there. You still going with UCLA, ZA? Who you got to win it?
All the teams are still playing. I mean, I really like Texas Tech. I think they're actually going to play for it, and I think Zona is going to play against them. But I like Arizona over Texas Tech to win it all now.
I'm thinking Zona's probably the team that's going to win it all. That's probably the team.
My pick now would be Purdue versus Zona. And honestly, I'd probably say Arizona is the better team. But if Purdue gets hot, man, they're hard to beat. Talking about our brackets, though. Okay, right now we're setting, and the way we did it, round 1 win was 1 point, round 2 win was 2 points, and we'll go on. So right now, Pistachio and myself are tied at 46. Pistachio, though, still has all final four teams remaining. I have 3, and my champion Kentucky was out in the first round, which Pistachio got lucky because this whole show was about 30 seconds away from none of us having the champion make the second round. In third place, we've got ZA with 38. Okay, and I don't get it. He's got pink on there, and Miles with 35. So we've all still got a chance to win this. I think ZA and Miles, they both only have 2 of their final 4s, so that's gonna hurt. But
Thank you.
doing the hunt. Okay, same bracket I submitted at work with 60 other stores, sitting at number 2, baby. Just gotta wait though, because I'm sure they all don't have Kentucky winning it because none of them are Kentucky stores. So I probably ain't gonna win it. But either way,
man, as a true sportsman, I've never had my heart broken twice like that. But I got to give it to St. Peter's. I think they're the better team both games. I mean, you love to see the small school do it, man. Yeah, I just hated it was against both my teams.
One thing I will say about the Murray State game is there's one point, the refs were awful. Maybe it's just because I watched the Michigan-Tennessee game and they let the refs do whatever. The players just bump and hit, and it was rough. And then you watch that game, and it was like tic-tac fouls. There were 4 fouls and 3 possessions at one time. But the one where Hannibal stole it and had the breakaway dunk, I don't know how that wasn't a foul, but it didn't matter because nobody could hit a freaking free throw. It's just goes.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, at the end of the day, we never led. They're the better team, man. But hey, for you gamblers out there, St. Peter's is the best NCAA tournament or the best NCAA team this year against the spread. They're giving Purdue 12.5. Just out of good faith, I might throw 100 on St. Peter's because and of course they'll blow it because it's the time they're not playing my team. But hey, why not? They're plus 600. We'll see what happens, right? Let's go.
I'd do it. Do it.
Yeah, man, throw 1,000 on it. Fuck it.
Man, my wife's next door, man. Chill out.
Don't you know that's the betting rules? He said 100, which really meant he already put 1,000 on it.
Which means I've already tripled down, and I've also parlayed it with another thing, so we're good. Yeah.
Speaking of that was your plan to wonder bet of the week. Thanks, Chrissy.
Lose your money, please. Let's go.
The last thing I got to bring up. Did y'all see the Michigan defensive end get hurt?
Oh, wait. You talking about during that running drill?
Pro day.
The pro day?
Yeah, so I'm going to throw it up. Let's watch this clip real quick.
The dude just goes and picks the ball up.
How fucked up is that? Like, you've got 32 NFL scouts. 32 NFL scouts, and they let the guy just lay there hurting. Don't check on him. Let's just pick the ball up and move down.
Also, where was their fucking training staff?
You know how that is. They were over there fucking playing with Gatorade cups. Exactly how. You know how the family works, Pistachio.
Yeah, you're right. My bad. I forgot. I've only been out the game like 2 months, but fuck. Yeah, you forget real quick because it's so shitty.
That is why you stretch before activities. Right there. There you go.
That's it. I always stretch, even before I go to work.
That's right.
I don't want to pull a hamstring.
Good. But all right, guys, that's all we have tonight. It's been fun. I love you. Bros out.
Later.
Hey.